Welcome to the Full-Time Devils season review. I'm joined by Stephen Howson and Manchester football correspondent for The Guardian, Jamie Jackson. We're going to get stuck in. We're going to talk about whether or not this has become Jose Marino's team, the highs and lows of this season, our player and moment of the season awards, and of course the ins and outs of the upcoming transfer window. We're starting with Jose Marino. Is this now a Jose Marino Manchester United team?
No.
Elaborate, please.
I think the 4 signings that he made were great, and even though I thought Mkhitaryan fizzled towards the end of the season, he's been a great buy for us. We're probably not going to see Zlatan again, so we're down to 3 of his signings going into next season, and 3 in a squad of 26 doesn't make it your team yet. Okay. I'm not sure he's massively improved many of the players in the team. I think Rojo looks reborn underneath him, and I would have been really happy going into next season with Rojo as our first choice centre-half alongside Bayer. That's obviously not going to be the case. He looks like he's going to be out for a while, so I would expect him to dip into the transfer market. I think there's 4 or 5 minimum new faces, and hopefully some of the academy lads that are going to form part of the squad next year, and that might look like a Jose Marino side. There was still plenty of times in the draws, still some of the performances, even starting in the Charity Shield, where there was hangovers of previous seasons. So I think we're on the right track, but we're not there yet. Okay,
Jamie, what do you think a Mourinho team is? Is it about the personnel?
I would agree. I know what Stephen means, but what I would say is because of the success this season, the club is starting to become his. And what I mean by that is you know, you can't argue with winning the Europa League. I think is it your 6th European trophy? Is that right?
If you include Super Cups.
Yeah, and also the EFL trophy, blah, blah, blah. And watching the final was very interesting because, you know, seeing it live, people said that wasn't a good game, but where we sat, you got a really good view of how much they worked and were focused, and I thought, yeah, this lot are really tuned in. I know it's a final, they should be, but I actually thought, yeah, this is becoming... I understand completely what you mean. He wants more players in, but I just thought they now buy into what this guy wants. Yeah. You know, proved by how they performed in that final difficult circus on it. So I think it is going in the right direction. He still doesn't think that the sort of forwards are good enough, quite good enough, most of them. He thinks Rashford's brilliant, you know, loves his mentality. But Martial, Mkhitaryan, Lingard, I think he's got reservations about, so he needs to sort that out. But I think, you know, the message is through now. They're sort of tuned into what he wants, I would suggest.
How important do you think the attitude of the team is? Because is a Mourinho team about just the players he buys, or about the way the team sets up and about the way the players represent themselves on the pitch?
I think, as Jamie just mentioned, he loves Rashford. I think Rashford epitomises some of our best performances have involved Marcus Rashford chasing down and leading and press from the front. Yeah. In particular, the Chelsea game, even the Chelsea away game, he ran it. We lost it. I'm talking about the cup game. We lost it, but Marcus Rashford was a 10 out of 10 that night, and I think that he will be an asset going into next season as he develops. We saw in the Europa League final that he wasn't able to get in the game when there was physically fast and quick defenders, and he can't use his main attribute, which is that pace and determination. And I think he's going to develop as a footballer, and he should be allowed to develop as a footballer as well, because look where he was 12 months ago. It's a whole different ball game. I think he epitomises what a Jose Mourinho team is, and I think some of the players have really, like Jamie said, bought into that. And I think once he gets the personnel to build a better quality of United, because you can have your hard-working... I mean, you know, Mo Farah can run all day long, but he's a runner, he's not a footballer. So it's not just about being able to run, it's about being able to put a quality football inside together, as well as a team that does everything that Jose Mourinho wants. And I think we're not far off it, like I said, but I don't think you could say this is definitely Mourinho's team just yet.
Okay, Mo Farah, also an Arsenal fan, so wouldn't want him, would we? Well, Jamie, what were your expectations when Mourinho was coming? Because I think the labels instantly would be, wouldn't play youth players, should at the very least challenge for the league, would probably park the bus, bit of controversy, would fight with Arsene Wenger. How much of that has happened for you?
Sort of, a lot of that has happened, apart from maybe the challenge for the title. I didn't expect 6. I was expecting top 4. Really challenging, I would say, at least until, you know, March. Maybe you fall away then, but, you know, a proper interest in it. He's been a little bit calmer, and at the same time, he's been the same old Jose. You know, the poet's comment the other night. He's a one-liner machine. You know, he knocks out these.
Ironically poetic, wasn't it?
It was very ironically poetic. Well pointed out. So I think, you know, people have said, had said he's lost his mojo, he's lost his spark. speaking to some of the gents who cover Chelsea, they say they look. You know, this is before the Europa League final. They were looking at him and say, "Oh, he's a different man to the guy 2 years ago who won it with Chelsea." You know, that manager. But I'm not so sure. I think the way he reacted. Did you see how he reacted when he was? I mean, it was almost like he was more important than any of the Champions League.
Yeah. Do you think he's maybe more vulnerable?
I think he probably feels that a little bit. But I think what he's done is there was a point. I'll be honest. When and I probably got sucked into this. When City won the first 10 games, and I was thinking, oh yeah, you know, this guy Guardiola, he is the real deal. And Mourinho looked a little bit behind the times. Well, cut a long story short, you get to the end of the season, City won nothing. We're in a fight for the top 4 still. I don't know, it was unrealistic for him to drop out on the final day of the season. Whereas, you know, he's won 2 trophies. You're in the Champions League straight into that competition. So I think that's what that was about. That reaction at the end of the final. I think he was really like, well, I'm still sort of number 1, really. I mean, he said to us that it was a signal between him and his family who was sat where he was doing it. So you don't know exactly what it was about, but it meant something proper to him.
Yeah, it's important. Howson, what were your expectations? I definitely thought we were going to win the league.
Yeah, I said we were going to win the league. I actually
didn't get close. I was like, Ibrahimovic, Pogba. We're going to walk it. Mourinho knows what he's doing.
It's fair enough call.
Thought we'd smash it.
Fair enough call.
I was like, yeah, Guardiola will be okay. He'll probably come second or something. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
I recognise the threat from Chelsea about European football, and I remember saying, I'm sure we've got it on video. That's the beauty of talking loads of shit on video for so long that it's all archived. I said I thought we would win it and Chelsea would come second, splitting us and City. I thought the lack of the plan B from Guardiola would trip them up, but I thought the quality that they possess in the team. I mean, because if you look at City fans' discussions and talk at the end of the season, like, this squad just wasn't good enough. You're like, hang on. Like Jamie just said, when you won 10 games, there was City fans saying, we're probably not going to lose a single game this season in all competitions.
They got excited.
There was reporters, and I don't think you was one of them, saying the Premier League's going to have to learn to adapt to Guardiola. There was all sorts of nonsense coming out, and I think ultimately, I wanted a league challenge. We didn't get it. If we'd have won the draws, you know, we might have been in a different place. We definitely deserved more than what we got in some of those league games. When you look at tangible statistics that actually mean something, not just what did you have in terms of possession, but if you look at how many chances United created, we created 0.1 of a chance per game less than this Spurs team that have just gone on a rampage. Goalkeepers save statistically like 20% more chances against United than other teams. All of our tangible statistics went up apart from finishing, which went down.
Yeah,
it was just being unclinical.
You only scored 5 more goals than under Van Gaal, didn't you, in the league? And that says it all for me.
But we created not infinitely, but we created like a significant number more chances. We had significantly more shots per game. The only problem was we wasn't finishing them, and hopefully that gets resolved this summer and we'll be in the mix.
Well, you mentioned some of the games, some of the draws, some of the finishing. Let's talk about the season that's just been finished with 3 sort of trophies. I say sort of because Charity Shield is a shield. I don't know what that is.
I don't recognise it as a trophy. I know
I'm glad to hear that because
it's not even a plate. It's a, what is it? I mean, you couldn't use it in battle. It's not an actual
friendly,
shield.
Isn't it? It's a friendly with a
But I mean,
cup at the end.
physically, it's not actually a cup or a trophy. It's a
shield, isn't it?
It's weird.
It's a bit of wood.
Anyway, so the season started with a lot of excitement. Pogba, Bay, Zlatan and Mkhitaryan joining. But probably the precursor for everything was that the first game that Mourinho took charge of was Wayne Rooney's testimonial at Old Trafford, which was a draw.
We should have known.
Yeah, that was it, wasn't it?
The writing was on the wall, Sam. We didn't see it.
Are there games that stand out for you as that were pointed to the season? Like the first game we lost was at home to City, and then we sort of struggled a bit from there. Then we entered the Europa League, and we couldn't get results following that. We had the 3-1 loss at Watford.
There was several
times drawing at home.
There were several times that there was Van Gaal hangovers noticeable. Yeah. The Charity Shield actually started that. That we won the game, but it was like not quite there. But you go, we've had the team 6 weeks. We'll just
won the first 3 games after that. Zlatan getting loads of goals. A Rashford last-minute winner. So it did start positively until we played City.
Even that City game, I think City was extremely fortunate to get a win out of that. I thought they was excellent at times, but also we could have got something out of that game. You see the cock up between Lingard and Zlatan at the end of the first half. You see Bravo's 2-footer on Rooney, which Rooney gets a card for, and you're like, that was. I don't want to blame this season on referees, but I think someone's done a comparison table, and out of 48 potentially game-changing decisions, 1 went in our favour. But I'm not sure that's true, because we did have several offside goals over the Christmas period.
Also some of Rojo's tackles.
There was nothing wrong with them tackles. Bring back 2-footers.
No, that's not okay.
But I think there's a lot of games that stick out, and obviously I'm extremely biased in my opinion of these games, but like when you look at United having 37 shots at home and getting a 0-0 against Burnley, and then we lose to Chelsea 4-0 at Stamford Bridge when they had 5 shots on target, and you're like...
That felt like a real low. Jamie, how did you see that?
That particular game, yeah. I mean, he conceded in a matter of seconds, didn't he?
Yeah,
is that right? It was
like
a Pedro
12,
goal, right?
Yeah, 23 seconds, hadn't touched the ball
he
yet.
Sort of got raided, basically, if I could put it that way. Yeah, that was a low point, but then of course you didn't lose again in the league until, what was it, 25 games
9
later.
wins in a row.
Right.
Who was it that we lost against?
From December to January.
Was it Arsenal? Was
Yeah,
it
I
Arsenal?
think it was, yeah.
But as was pointed out with that one, I think it was like 15 of the games. If we'd lost 5 and won 5 of say 10 of those draws, we've got more points.
As Roy Keane would say, though, if buts and maybes. You know,
Yeah.
the bottom line is.
No, that's what I'm saying. The unbeaten run was actually a bit rubbish.
What I would say is you've got a manager there who doesn't have a philosophy which he has to stick to because it's sort of, you know, like Guardiola. Even Pellegrini was like, we always attack. You know, Klopp. What he does is he sets up teams to win against a particular team, and that to me is management. You know, that's what, you know, because he's out to win, and this is what that Poets comment was about. You know, all these people who've got all these sort of highfalutin ideas, and so to go back to Chelsea, when you beat Chelsea at home, surely that is Mourinho at his best, and a kind of, you know, a man marking job. You know what I mean? The whole thing was very good, wasn't it?
The starting 11 was awful.
Yeah, but as a team though,
it
exactly, and that's kind of what you've got with him. And I would say, you know, if you are a United fan, like obviously, you know, you two are, I would be very hopeful about that, because if you can get better players in...
But his tactical fluidity has impressed me, and I thought we would have got something out of that cup game if Ferreira hadn't got sent off.
Definitely.
Yeah. And the Arsenal game at home, the Spurs game at home, we completely smashed them.
And think about that, like, Conte is giving all this praise about he switched to the back 3, but you were doing a job on Chelsea until Herrera was sent off, and Conte didn't think, I wonder if that's going to happen again in the league game, and try and, you know, accommodate that, and then... And it did happen again. So who's the cleverer there as a sort of tactical thinker?
Yeah, who's learning?
Yeah, exactly.
The one with Ashley Young as captain on the day.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. There you go.
That's one of my favourite things.
That's classic Mourinho. He just pulls these sort of results out.
Yeah. So after that game, we won the next 9 through December to January. All the Griezmann talk started, but we did get rid of Schneidlin and Memphis. Do you think, in the long run, the fact that we had to sort of semi-give up on the league towards the end was letting players go through January? Schweinsteiger went a bit after. Do you think that was a bit naive?
Yeah, I think the Schneiderlin thing was a bit of a mistake. I don't know what you two think.
Just
because he's a young midfielder.
Yeah, but that's why all 3 of them, I think, could have stayed until now.
Even
if he wouldn't have played them much.
If I analyse Mourinho over the course of a season, like I said, I'm impressed with his tactical fluidity. I've been impressed with how he's pulled performances out unexpectedly and found a way to win 2 competitions. Yeah, but there are things that I think he hasn't lived up to expectations. And as I said before we started rolling, actually, we want everything perfect. We want everyone who represents United or plays for United and manages United to have the same feelings about United that we do. And that's probably unrealistic, and we've been mega spoiled in the past with what we've had. But that's what we want, and we can't help that. I think one of the things that Mourinho has cocked up on, and maybe it wasn't him, maybe there was pressure from the board, maybe they was already having discussions about who they want to bring in the summer, and they went, we can't sign all them until you get this wage bill to X.
Wasn't it the board that annexed Schweinsteiger?
I believe so.
As opposed to Mourinho?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you lock at what he did with him, you know, put him into with the youth players, and then he brought it back in. I don't know. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it, to get all the players in? I mean, this summer, maybe we'll go into this in greater detail later, but you know, this summer you can have all your lists, but getting these players in is so difficult. Everyone's got pots of money. I mean, you still got the Manchester United name behind you and all the rest of it. But yeah, I thought the one that I thought was a mistake was Schneiderlin. He said, "Oh well, he came to me. I never, you know, and said I want to leave. I never stand in the way of a player." But I always, whenever a manager says that, I always think of the star player at the club. If Pogba had said that, they're going to let him go. You're not, are you? So
hadn't he played like 2 minutes for him though? That's enough of an indicator of what he thought of him.
Yeah, exactly. But there was a time when they really needed him.
That's it. Yeah.
What was the harm until summer? Just holding on to him.
You could just go, well, look, it's only 6 months. It's not even 6 months really. January to
that's what I'm saying.
You'll be okay. You're being paid well. Just accept this position for a bit. Because there will be a time when the squad is short. People will get injured.
It's an interesting one about the giving up on the league that you just mentioned, because again, not as a fan, it's difficult for me to get into the headset. But I suppose it's because the league is the one, but you're never really going to win it, were you? I don't think. So therefore, in the end, you could call it a gamble. But wasn't he sort of? Didn't he make the right gamble, if you know what I mean? Just going for the Europa League as a Champions League.
Now we've won it, you can say yes.
Right, okay, but,
I mean, if
at the start of the season, I pulled a line out which is like trying to win the Europa League to get into the Champions League. It's like playing the lottery to to pay your rent, and it felt like, yeah, you can do that, but it's not the most. But as obviously, I've had some stick for it since, because as we progress in every single round, it becomes more and more. I said this in the group stage, but you're looking at going into the semi-final and then the final. Well, now the chances of this is increasing, and I think post that Swansea game, I think Mourinho was like, right, if you watch online poker on telly and stuff, you see all the odds of who's got the best hand and all that lot. Well, I think he looked at his hand for the Premier League and he looked at his hand for the Europa League, and he was like, on a pure mathematical basis, getting past Celta and winning that final, or having to go to Spurs and Arsenal and City and get results out with the congestion of games is unlikely. And yeah, it's cowardly, and I don't agree with it, but he did what he had to do, like we said, to be a winner. And now we won it, we can say that was well played. If we'd have failed against Ajax, we're going to look at both and analyse both to death, I'm sure. And you'd have been like, well, we still had we could have gone to Arsenal and got a result. We could have gone to Spurs and got a result.
But even then, I don't know if we.
But like, the likeliness of it all.
Yeah, I think the squad wouldn't have been strong enough to. It just wasn't. There's not enough there to compete in both scenarios.
It switched at some point. It switched ultimately.
Yeah.
The best chance was in the league up until the point where it wasn't the best chance, and then it's moved over to the Europa.
Also, much better to do it with a trophy. I am going to do the qualifiers.
So here's a question for you: if you knew you were going to win the Europa League, if that was nailed on and get Champions League, would you prefer that to finishing fourth or third? or second?
It's entirely hypothetical, isn't it?
No, but that's why I'm asking, because for me, again, as a non-United fan, I would go for the trophy plus Champions League.
Yes,
right?
so definitely,
probably,
I definitely would.
Yeah. Rather than finishing second, I don't know.
In my head, the whole point of everything in the world of sport is what you have to show for it at the end of the season.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because ultimately, do you know when Arsenal won the league in 97-98? Who knows who came fourth that season? What does it matter? It means nothing. Yeah. But Arsenal won the double that year. The following year, we won the treble.
I think it was Leeds.
But yeah, but that's it. It just means nothing. If we'd lost the Champions League final the year we won the treble, that team won the double, and it's like, yeah, great, but it'd always be a bit like, oh, we didn't quite. The thing that counts is what you have to show for it. Tottenham have had an incredible year. They've scored loads of goals. They've had really good, lovely attacks, but they've done nothing. What have they got?
Same as Swansea.
What does it mean?
Well, the class of '92, great example. They won the FA Youth Cup in '92. Do you know where they came in the league?
What, the Reserves League?
It was the Lancashire A League at the time. Do you know where they came
title?
in?
Fourth.
Second.
Right.
Oh, I guess.
Doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, of course it doesn't.
It's not about, and ultimately, it's not really about what people do at youth level. It's about what they do when they're first team players. But yeah, I agree. It's about what you win in your memories.
Yeah, I'd say it's more worthwhile winning just the EFL Cup and finishing sixth than finishing fourth and not winning anything. Because for me, are you going to win the Champions League? I know it's prestige, and I get all that, but you've won something. It's another trophy to add to your stack.
If we all laugh at them, sure, but if I was an Arsenal fan, they embarrass themselves in the Champions League year after year. There'd be a part of me that'd be like, well, I've just seen Man United win that, and that's great. They look like they had a great time winning a European trophy. Yeah. Yes, it's not the Champions League, but you know what? They haven't got Neymar or Messi or Ronaldo or Kroos or anybody that good. So why not go, we might win a European trophy, That would be nice.
Yeah. That's a logical, sensible opinion, though, and there's no one in the Arsenal fan base with that sort of mindset.
No, I'm sure. The only counter, I think, is if you come second, like Spurs did, they've been chasing the Premier League all season,
right?
And that's
a fair point.
You miss out on that.
I'm having that
journey.
Sure. Confidence that next year we improve, we get it.
That as well.
You don't go next year. We're going to go from sixth to first,
even though they didn't win it,
but we might.
Right up until probably the last 5 games,
proper interest in it,
they believed that they might.
Yeah.
So, or even probably beyond the last 5 games, they might have done it. And that you lose that whole experience.
I spoke to Boltwood, who's a Spurs fan, and he was telling me it's the progression they're happy with.
Yeah, sure.
Because if United had gone from our successes to coming second, that's a failure for us. But you have to look at the starting point.
Sure.
And the starting point for Spurs was last season was third. Well, this season was second. What's next season? That's the progression for them.
I still think they should have won something by now.
Maybe.
Like a League Cup or something. Like they've got.
He's never won anything, has he?
Well, is that right? That's kind of it. Like, go and win something. Stop being a poet.
Here's the thing that I thought all of these teams and all of these managers needed to have, though, and that was patience. I thought it was a bit of a war of attrition because there's too many good managers and too many good teams to all get into the top 6 or top 4, if you like. Yeah. So I think it's almost like managers, boards, and everybody needs to just stick and not twist.
Yeah.
Because someone's gonna twist. And I even though he's just won the league, I still make Conte the favourite to be sacked just because of how Abramovich is.
Yeah.
Because you think, right, Liverpool have bought into Klopp massively, and although FSG are a bit twitchy, I think they're probably not going to get rid of him. City's been built for Guardiola, so unless he walks away, which is likely, they're not sacking him. We're probably not going to sack Mourinho.
No.
You don't think Spurs and Pochettino are going to part ways. So that, and apart from Wenger, who could walk away, the guy who's just won the league is the most likely to be sacked for me. Which is nuts, but that's the league that we live in at the moment.
That's interesting, isn't it?
And I think that you've got to just be patient because teams are going to sack managers. That rebuilding process starts at that club, and whoever's able to just get some consistency together, which is why Spurs, I think, have done quite well in recent years because of the upheaval at United and at City, and the whatever's going on at Arsenal, and I think they've been allowed to just progress nicely. But yeah, they're at the point now where they should start to win things, and I think they're going to a really difficult part because I don't think they're going to be as successful at Wembley as they've been at White Hart Lane, and then they've got to move into their new stadium. They're looking at 2 massive upheaval years. If they don't win anything in that, we might have seen the peak of Spurs.
Yeah. Also, gave up on Europe very early, didn't they?
Yep.
That was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a little bit. And what we were saying before the Europa League final, United, was if they didn't win it and get into the Champions League, then Josie Marino would probably next season, being in the Europa League again, would probably, don't know if I can say toss it off, but basically, because I don't think he could afford to finish 6th and go for it. And one season of doing it when he didn't really want to do it was enough for him. Because he started off, didn't he? I think it was ahead of Feyenoord. That was the very first game, wasn't it? Away.
He rotated for it.
Yeah, but also saying we don't really want to be in this competition. We'll try and win it. So I think it really ground him down. It was interesting. He said that it's been the hardest season ever of his managerial career. I mean, he's been around a bit. I think it's his 7th club or something like that. And I understand why he said that. I think he was exhausted. He was saying, I'm going to go home, no more football, get a car from Manchester back to London, fly to Portugal, and that was him for the agents haven't got his number, all that sort of thing. So I think I can understand why Spurs did that because I think they were looking at the league, you know what I mean? And they had a good crack, as you sort of mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So we've already recorded a proper big debate on this, but you can find that. It's on the FullTimeDEVILS YouTube channel, which you're already on, so it shouldn't be difficult. Very quickly, that Howson, good season, bad season? I'm not allowing you to steer me on that because I think it's a bit more complicated than good or bad. It's not binary. There's definitely shades of grey, and this season was definitely a grey season, not a black or white season. You can't just say good or bad. Do you think he's just been reading 50 Shades of Grey? That's all I got out of that.
My answer is there's no way you can say it's a bad season because you won 2 trophies in the Champions League straight into the group stage for the first time since Ferguson did it. Yes. So I, as a non-United fan, I know I keep on saying this, but obviously you have to understand I'm looking at it neutrally. I don't got your vested interest. I think it's a good season. Yeah. Not a great season, but a good season.
Well, there's a whole video discussing this. Watch it. It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Definitions are important.
True. Right, let's do the awards. So, Howson, your player of the year.
Okay.
Or should we do nominees? Should that be a thing? Who's your nominee? Then we can decide as a 3.
Okay.
We can do a democracy because there's 3 of us. Who's your nominee? Pick a player.
I haven't got one.
Great.
I've got a series of players that I thought have been excellent and worthy, and no one's been consistent from August to May. I think players have peaked at different times, dipped at certain times, and I think the players that have had very good seasons are Zlatan, Pogba, Valencia, and Herrera. And Baye, even though he's only really played about half a season for us, I think with a full season he would have been fantastic. I think standing at the top of them, I think I flip-flopped on this because we did a debate a month ago or so where and I chose Zlatan because I was told to. I wasn't told to. No, we had to choose players, and the player I wanted was gone. So I was forced to. I went last, so I ended up with my 4th choice.
Okay.
And I said Zlatan. I do think Zlatan's had a good season, but I don't think you can give him player of the year. I think Paul Pogba's been absolutely fantastic, and I think the criticism that he gets in the press is an absolute joke. He's just won Europa Player of the Year of the tournament. I think the stats that he's produced are on a par with what he produced at Juventus, where he was nominated for a FIFA Pro World 11. So
here's the thing, though. Maybe you'll agree with me here as a non-United fan. So if I take off my red sunglasses, Paul Pogba is a former Champions League finalist. To say, and we know he is exceptionally good at football. So for him to be the best player in the Europa League, is that not like, I'm 6'3", is that not like me being the tallest kid in year 4?
No.
Because he is better than that quality anyway. We know that before the season starts.
Okay, well, you've still got to prove it. There's still other players in there of good quality that came out of the Champions League.
Okay, what do you think?
Well, my answer to the question I was thinking about is it's got to be Zlatan for me, just because without his goals, he'd have been sunk. But the caveat is the team's built around him, so to a certain extent, he had to do that. Otherwise, what's the point in having him and building the team around him? So, but yeah, I go back to that. I mean, all those goals for a 35, we've still got to do it in the Premier League. You know, you have to. They're not growing trees. So that's. But I do like
Those
Pogba.
don't grow on trees.
I do like Pogba because I think as the season's gone on, I think you've actually solved the central midfield problem that you've had. You know, where is this? I'm not saying he's Roy Keane, but sort of, he's a dynamic, quite muscular. He's a leader. He has a go at them. I like what he does. But for me, it has to be Ibrahimovic, even though I'm not a fan of that kind of footballer, I have to say, especially in United, which is all about...
Where'd you put Herrera's performances?
Yeah, just below. He could be a captain, I think. I think he might go to Pogba, but I think he's a captain. The way he spoke, for example, about the Manchester bombing after he'd won it, saying he just held 1%, very sensitive, and not in his native language as well, but he sits there, just styles it off completely, saying all the right things. I thought, this guy's got a brain on him. But yeah, so for me, it's Zlatan with Pogba also. Pogba's obviously, for me now, he's young, he's in the prime of his career, but it was Zlatan Ibrahimovic to come in and do that. I was saying, he's too old, all the rest of it, completely proved wrong, because he did it on the pitch,
Do you think if he hadn't done his knee, we wouldn't have this conversation? Do you think if he finished the season scoring a few more goals, he'd have got past 30, 20 in the Premier League? 30, that's what I mean, he'd probably scored in the final.
That's the question I was going to ask. Do you think you would have won the Europa League final with him in the team? Yeah, okay, fair enough. I thought you might say, well, I'm not so sure.
I think we probably would have played different, because I don't think you can play that high press with him. I think he may have gone with 3 at the back and put Rashford and Ibra up front together. I think maybe.
How can I say this? I'm going to say it very sensitively. Maybe the one slight, not positive, but okay, the silver lining in his very unfortunate injury is that maybe it gave Rashford a go.
Yes,
and that's what I'm trying to say. I don't want to be mean about the guy. He's got a horrible injury. He might be finished.
Rashford got his opportunity last season because of injuries.
Yeah, and he's taken it again, hasn't he? So
if he gets opportunities, I mean, that might just be how his career has gone. That all of the opportunities come on someone else's misfortune.
Yeah,
but pretty much every young player gets their opportunities because of someone else's.
You've got to be able to take them, and that's the trick. And not everyone
I've never
does.
seen anyone take it as good as Rashford.
Yeah. I don't know what the.
Wait a minute, who's your nominee?
I don't know what the rules are. I don't know what makes a player of the season.
Well, you're in charge.
But I think the most consistent, by a huge distance, is Antonio Valencia.
I've got no argument against that.
I think if everybody got a mark out of 10 every game, he would easily have the highest score.
I mean, I know you don't like it because it's a goalkeeper. I still think De Gea has been excellent again. I mean, the guy is he never makes a mistake.
Equally,
but I'm not saying
if we're doing scores out of 10, Sergio Romero would have an incredible game to marks out of 10 score.
He's got the same beard.
He's been really good.
The clean sheets that he's got.
He's got a catch or something.
The clean sheets that he's got in the knockout competitions that he's had as well have been phenomenal.
But Antonio,
hang on, I ain't finished. That Europa League game, actually, because I've not spoke about it at all. I mean, if you've seen my fan cam, it was 90 seconds
final?
long. Yeah.
You saw Romero in the final.
Romero, he did not look phased. Every single ball that came to him like this. It was the easiest game he's ever played in his life.
I thought that was what they were.
There was one that actually hit quite hard, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it still went straight to him.
And he was just deadpan.
Yeah, I'll take that. But Antonio Valencia, on the official, the Sam must be Player of the Year, the fans voted one. I voted for Antonio Valencia because I think he's, although it's boring for a right back.
I was just going to say that. Am I wrong to think that it should never be a right back?
I think it probably is Ibrahimovic because without his goals, where are we? We're nowhere. And actually, although he had games where he didn't score any, Pogba had that game against Liverpool where he gave away a penalty and pretty much missed an open goal. Everybody has flaws to their game, which is where Valencia wins because he's basically perfect as a right back. But without Ibrahimovic, where are we this season?
Well, we came sixth in the league.
He scored against everybody.
So no one's really had that Ballon d'Or nomination season. So there's flaws in every single player. And I hope next season it's more obvious.
Herrera was great too, but I think I'd go with the goals because without them, no one else was getting those goals.
You say without the goals, we did score goals post Zlatan.
We did.
When you take that Pogba out of that team, how clueless did we look?
True. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, Eve. That's why.
Good players all over the place. So who are we picking? Who's your nomination?
I'm happy to concede because, like I said, I think it's not been a perfect season from anybody. There's been encouraging season, but yeah, no one has been like, it's him and I'll fight you if you say otherwise. So.
No, I don't think anybody feels that. So who are we going for, Jamie?
Well, I would stick with Zlatan.
I'll go for that. We'll go with that. Congratulations, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. You are the 3 of our player of the season.
We'll present the award to you.
Although I didn't actually vote for you.
He knows where we are. You can come and see us. We'll get a trophy made up.
I did vote for Tony V in the official awards. And I also thought Herrera was great, but on reflection, I think he was excellent. Yeah, and we remember he's a 35-year-old. Also, goals are fun, aren't they? Goals are fun, and they get prizes. Moment of the season.
Oh, crumbs.
Moment. A great moment. Things, so, Ibrahimovic's goal against Bournemouth.
Does it have to be in an actual during the game? Because how about Zlatan throwing away his second crutch? After you won the final, did you see this? Did you see this? So Bailey or Barley's got one of his crutches, and goes onto the pitch, celebrating as we've won it as a Mickey take. He throws it away. I think Karen Shotwell, the United press officer, picks up and gives it to Zlatan. He throws both of his crutches away and goes and joins the melee without crutches.
I've seen him jumping around.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's not recommended.
But he did that when he left He didn't go off on a stretcher, did he? When he first did it, he walked off.
Yeah. So that's my moment of the season. That kind of sums up
good.
the Zlatan circus plus, the fact you won it.
Well, I was going to say his goal against... I was just coming up with ideas as opposed to nominations. His goal against Bournemouth, which meant he'd scored on like every league debut for everybody he's ever played for.
Call.
And he did it towards the end of the game.
He's got more clubs than Tiger Woods and all.
Because of golf.
And Jacob.
Classic. Because it was quite a good... it was quite a distance out, wasn't it? What a great moment.
If you think of a moment of the season should be a defining moment of the season, it should really be one of the goals or the lifting of the trophy in the final. But there has been some great moments in the season.
I've got an answer. Good. Go on, please continue.
I thought Josh Harrop's goals, something that's going to stick with me for this season.
Yeah, that was great.
Will he be seen again under Marino, do you think?
I don't know. I think that's a longer topic.
This is the man. So I was...
I got another one. Okay. There was some of the comebacks. I can't remember who it was. Was it Middlesbrough in the Cup? We came back. We was flooding forward and got a late winner. Those are the sort of moments that I think are going to stick into the season.
I'm going to tell you what mine is, and I'll continue on the Josh Harrop theme. So I was behind the goal when Josh Harrop scored that, and we were absolutely mental because it's so good.
Yeah, sure.
And then you think, isn't that amazing? I hope he plays next season. And then Howson points out, he's older than Anthony Martial. And then it becomes like, well, now, does that mean he's too old? Or is Martial too young? Like, what does that mean? What does age mean anymore? I've no idea.
I'm waiting for Josie Marino to wheel out the fact that he played, 4 full debutants in that game to sort of, as another bit of evidence that he gives you the chance.
Absolutely
played a 16-year-old.
He broke the Premier League record. Fergie didn't do it. I did it.
I think my moment of the season is another goal I was stood behind, which was Ibrahimovic in the last minute of the League Cup final.
There's been moments, hasn't there? There has been good moments in the season. Yeah. It's just been, I don't know what. There hasn't been that Solskjaer has won it moment.
Pogba's deflection.
I thought
it's pretty special.
I've seen so many people saying he did it on purpose. That's how good a player he is.
That's what you get for £89 million. He knows what he's doing.
He was like, I'm going to hit that ankle. Boom, there we go.
No one reads
like a snooker shot or something, right? Yeah, off the cushion.
What was the goal of the season? Mkhitaryan's.
Yeah, that's what Scorpion.
That's another. The Scorpion kick.
I voted for that in the Guardians Awards.
It annoys me it was offside.
See, it won't bother me because I'm of the school of thought if something's off, shouldn't have happened and you get away with it, it's even sweeter.
Well, I think that in a game, like when you win it,
I like that, don't you?
Yeah, in a game, perfect. But for it to be an award-winning goal, it does annoy me.
Rooney's goal was voted the greatest Premier League goal. The old red kick.
He shinned it.
Robin van Persie's volley against Aston Villa is infinitely better.
Oh, crumbs! Yeah, because it was a great pass from Rooney as well, right?
Yeah. It's not. It's not having a go at Wayne Rooney, but. If you go to the park, someone's going to score an overhead kick. No one is going to hit that volley after a 40-yard pass and catch it on the run.
It's unbelievable.
No one's ever going to do that.
Unbelievable.
Didn't even break his stride.
It's mental. It's completely mental. We could be a forever talking about that. So
this season.
Your moment in the season.
I don't know, man, because I was sort of relieved it ended with us achieving what we set out to achieve.
Yeah.
But ultimately disappointed in where we came in the league. And if I'm trying to think of, like, if I was like a photographer and I wanted to, so that was that season in one photo.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything.
Last year, Rashford scoring against City.
Yep.
Done.
I don't think we have.
But maybe that's the system.
Yeah. So to go back to maybe it's what you said then about the lifting the Europa League trophy, because in the end that's the Champions League is kind of what. Yeah, that's probably I still go with Zlatan though because he's Zlatan, and what I loved about Zlatan was he's got a big mouth, but clumsy backs it up.
Yeah, massively, doesn't he?
That's the point.
He's
So
like the
he's not
ultimate.
like Bentner,
Does he?
for example.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic is not like Nicolas Spencer. That is what I want you all to take away from this conversation. Now, I know we were talking about this season as a review, but we're now going to look ahead slightly and talk about transfers. We're going to talk about outs. So we are still talking about this season, and looking ahead, we'll talk about who might be coming in. So, Howson, based on what you've seen this season, I would like who you think should leave. No numbers.
Who I think should leave or who I think will leave, because that's two different things.
This is, I think, your opinion.
In my opinion, I think players that will leave, because I don't really want anybody of them to go, and that includes Rooney.
Sure.
If Rooney was happy to take a secondary role next season, I'd love to see him about, because I think something that United have just allowed to drain out of the club since Fergie left has been experience.
Sure.
And I think in Evra, Rio,
Schweinsteiger.
Giggs, Scholes, Schweinsteiger, Vidic, all of those players, and now there's the potential for Rooney to go this summer, and Ibrahimovic. That's a lot of experience. I think you're going to see. I think De Gea could go. Sadly, I think Rooney could go.
Hang on. No one has opened their phone or their iPad or their computer to listen to you say what could happen. Everybody on earth knows he might go. I need you to stick your balls to the wall and make a decision.
It's warm and they would stick.
Is that an appropriate expression? I don't know what that means, really. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Roll with it.
I said it.
Okay, I reckon then by the end of the summer you might have seen moved on.
You can't say might have.
No,
What's
I'm
the
not,
point?
because I'm not. I don't know this.
No, I know. That's why you've got to make bold predictions.
I'm not going to do it.
Ashley Young won't be here next season. See, I've done it.
Right,
Make one.
so I'm going to say De Gea, Young, Rooney. I do think Carrick's going to stick around. I think one of Smalling on Jones. I'm going to say Smalling.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say Fellaini. So what's that, 6?
Yeah. Is that what you're hoping happens?
No, that's what I think is probably going to happen.
Okay. And how do you feel about what you think? It's a good question, that, isn't it?
I'm going to have to draw a picture here to figure out what you're actually trying to say. I think United. I think Rooney's been a fantastic servant to United. I don't think he would accept a reduced role, even more potentially even more reduced than this that he's had this season. I think he still probably feels he's got a lot to offer and probably could offer a lot.
Do you think if there wasn't a World Cup next year, his thoughts might be different? Because I always think of Wayne Rooney as a very selfless footballer.
Yeah.
He always seems quite happy to sacrifice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, so you think that he's got an eye on trying to get back into England because he's just been dropped?
Yeah, because he said last summer, I think, that he will retire from international duty after the 2018 World Cup.
Here's my view on Rooney, right? I as a number 10, I still think he. I don't know. I'm just. Who was a better number 10 for you this season? I'm not saying he should have been in the team as number 10, but you had players who played well but were inconsistent. Mkhitaryan is either. Who's the number 10 for you? Is it Pogba?
I think you could say Lingard, Mata, and Mkhitaryan are all better number 10s than Rooney.
Really, that's interesting. So
Rooney's just a bit slow, I think.
But that's what I'm saying. In a number 10, do you need to be fast? If you're quick here,
but
you've got the technical.
But
anyway.
I'm not sure he's quick there.
So what I'm trying to say is, will he? I don't know if he leaves. Can he get back into the England squad? I'm not so sure, but then funnier things happen. I thought Beckham was finished. I mean, I really did after McLaren, and he got back in, and he was blah, 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 blah.
I think if he went to, say, an Everton, and he plays 30 games, and he scores 15 goals, I think an England manager would take him on the experience.
That's probably
If he does that,
possible.
That's great. Okay, so who's coming in? Howson, nice guy. Journalist.
Here is who he definitely wants. Griezmann and Lukaku. Loves Lukaku. Absolutely loves Lukaku.
Tell us more about him.
I'm told he's... I'm going to use this is my word, not his. I think what I understand, the way he feels about me is obsessed. That's how much he wants.
Strong word.
That is a strong word.
Strong word.
You know, that's how keen he is on getting him. He thinks he's just going to score. You know, he would have won the Golden Boot, but okay, Kane's a phenomenon. But you know, he's up there
at Everton. As well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Griezmann, we all know about. If you can get both of them, I think they'll be dancing on the streets of what is it, M16, where Old Trafford is. So there's those two. I think the goalkeeper one's interesting. Wouldn't be surprised if he leaves. I don't know is that not bold enough? All right, I'm going to put my neck on line.
I think he probably will leave. And yes, you're right about Smalling or Jones. I think one. I thought it was a surprise, and he explained it afterwards that Smalling got in ahead of Jones, but he said it was because he had a week more recovery. But he did all right, didn't he, Smalling? I don't buy Daley Blind as a central defender, but you know he's done a job for you. You need a central midfielder, right? Because even if Carrick sticks around, you know you've really only got three. You know, Herrera, Fellaini, and Pogba.
Yeah. Unless he's looking to promote one of the players that he's not given a lot of time to, like Fosu-Mensah.
Verratti,
which I think is far too bold for a Mourinho.
It was interesting what he said about Rashford yesterday, about how he liked Rashford mentality. Did you see it? He said basically, I like Rashford because he's got the mentality that even though he wasn't scoring 2 or 3 months, he was still at it. You know, still like, and he didn't mention any of the others. He said that where I have a problem with players as a manager, maybe it's a weakness. He actually used this word, Mourinho, is those who haven't got it up here. And you know, I love Rashford. Now, this is. So to go to Fosu-Mensah, he might like him, might not, but I think he just wants finished articles, to be honest. You know, like hard-headed. And I tweeted this after he won the final. I said he turned the team this United team into a team of men, and what I meant by that was just like hardened, get the job done warriors. Do you know what I mean?
That's why he trusts Fellaini so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he absolutely will give it his absolute all, even if it's always technically not Zinedine Zidane.
He wants killers.
He will try really hard to win the game.
I think Tuanzebe's shown a lot of maturity in the performances that we've seen from him this year.
Realistically, though, he's going to buy a central midfielder, isn't he?
Of course he is.
He's not going to go. He wants to.
Of course he is. If he's going to spend, what do you think of
Dyer? Dyer seems to be on the radar.
Yeah. Let me finish on this one. Okay. So if he's going to drop probably 140 million on Griezmann and Lukaku, if that's what we're going for. He's not going to just ignore the back. He's not going to spend all of that money up there. I think we're going to have to do some selling to recoup some cash to make some sales.
Yeah.
The Dyer thing has been a constant, hasn't it? Like, and I don't get it. One, I don't want to try and buy anyone off Tottenham because you get rinsed.
Yeah.
And two, I'm not. I think he's good, but I think I can see Mourinho going with someone more physical.
He's kind of lost his place a bit, hasn't he? Wanyama sort of took over as the first choice.
I would have thought Wanyama was more Mourinho.
Well, that's what I was, that's what I sort of...
But he definitely, at the end of the season, by the talk of we went for Kante and we went for others...
It's an interesting one.
He's still trying to
buy...
So,
as fans then, you worry about being rinsed. You don't think, well, it's not my money, we've got loads of money, and that's what it's for, sort of thing.
You still don't value for money, don't
you? Couldn't care less.
Does it?
If anything, I find it funny.
But what do you call value for money? If you buy a player for 250 million and you win the league for the next 5 years...
Brilliant.
Yeah. I'm not asked about Pogba's fee.
People's annoyance will make me laugh. But also, sometimes in the quiet moments, I feel sick.
Okay, fair enough.
That amount of money exists in sport.
Right, yeah, that's yeah.
So it's a different issue.
Slightly different, yeah.
When people get really angry about Pogba costing 90 million and then he scores deflected goals in cup finals, that is my absolute favourite. That is better than if he scores a halfway line volley that comes off the post in the top corner and someone goes, to be fair, that was amazing. I'd much rather someone sat there smashing their phone to pieces going, he's not worth it. Because Manchester United have got so much money, they could get 100 million and just throw it off the roof for a laugh. It just means nothing to them.
Pogba for 90 million, I'm not bothered with.
Sure.
And I think that's possibly the going rate for a player of that sort of quality. But you don't want to see United mugged at this. I don't want to see us frivolously spending because we're United.
But I agree, but my answer to that is it's only frivolous if you don't end up winning anything with those players helping. Therefore, for me, it's kind of worth it.
I think you always overpay, potentially, with Spurs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Carrick and Berbatov were big issues.
But in hindsight, delighted at Berbatov for 30 million quid.
And you still got Carrick, haven't you?
He was Premier League top goal scorer and he
11 years
won the
later.
league and excellent.
I just think for what you're going to spend, I mean, you had to spend that on Pogba to get Pogba. I think I'm going to go
very large here. If you're going to go to Spurs and be messed around and maybe not get the player, I'd go for Ali.
I was going to say, don't go for
just go for Ali. You know what I mean?
You've made a really good point though, is that you can't actually judge that you've been ripped off or not until 3 years or 4 years down the line. You see what you've got for your money.
Ibra on a free could have ended up us being ripped off with his wages.
Yeah.
If he hadn't scored goals.
It was gold. All right, so it looks like some people are coming in, and that is basically it. I've got nothing left to look at on my iPad. So thank you very much, Jamie. Thank you, Howson, for joining us. Everybody else in the comments, get in there. Who do you think we're going to sign? Sounds like maybe Griezmann and Lukaku. That's exciting. If you're some sort of dodgy sports website, you can clickbait us because Jamie used the word obsessed. You can say, guess which player Mourinho is obsessed with in capital letters, and then you can put this video. That gets us views, probably. Is that how it works? The internet, what a weird thing. Thanks very much. Subscribe. And Jamie, anything you want to plug?
Just football. Let's hope it's a good season. I'm already missing it. When's it starting the new season?
There's on the 3rd of June there is the playoff for the Super Cup.
Oh yes.
They're just play off for it. And then the actual Super Cup final, where Manchester United will play one of the playoff winners.
4th of August, that. But I will be going on tour with United on the 9th of July, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's
5
exciting.
games I think you got over there, so a bit of West Coast, a bit of sort of Texas, a bit of East Coast, and then you'll be back for that game.
We're all having a great time. Right, Jamie's going to enjoy that, and House and I are going to be sat in a dank room. See you soon. Bye.